The crystalline dome of Sanctuary 7 reflected starlight in patterns that would have impressed any human artist, but Alex Chen barely noticed. His attention stayed fixed on the massive doors ahead, where 847 different alien species waited to judge humanity's fate. Beside him, Nina Okafor adjusted her translator earpiece for the third time. "Stop fidgeting," Alex whispered. "They're already scared of us." "They should be," Nina muttered back. "I read the preliminary reports. Half of them think we're going to eat them." The doors opened silently, and the council chamber revealed itself in all its alien glory. Beings of every imaginable shape filled the amphitheater-style seating. Some floated in containment bubbles, others hung from the ceiling on silken threads. A few existed as clouds of luminescent gas, but when Alex and Nina walked through the entrance, every single one of them stopped moving. The silence felt heavy. Wrong. A small crystalline creature at the center podium spoke first. Its voice came through the translator as high-pitched and nervous. "I am Counselor Rin of the Quellen Collective. You are the humans." "Yes," Alex said, keeping his voice soft. "I'm Alex Chen, and this is Nina Okafor. We represent the colony ship Horizon's Edge and, by extension, humanity. We come in peace." A ripple of movement went through the crowd. Several aliens near the front actually backed away, their seats sliding on hidden rails. One species that looked like a cross between a starfish and a flower actually fainted, its petals closing up tight. Rin's crystalline body flickered through several colors. "Please, remain where you are. Do not approach the central floor." Nina glanced at Alex, confused. They were still standing just inside the doorway, at least 50 meters from the nearest council member. A new voice boomed through the chamber, deeper and carrying more authority. "Initial scans are complete, Counselor Rin." A massive display screen materialized above the assembly, showing what looked like medical readouts. The speaker, a being that resembled a slug covered in sensory organs, continued. "The preliminary data on their homeworld is concerning." Numbers began scrolling across the screen. Surface gravity, 1.2 g. Atmospheric oxygen content, 21%. Temperature variation, negative 89 to 58 degrees in their measurement system. Tectonic activity extreme. Weather patterns, violent and unpredictable. "By the Founders," someone gasped from the upper tiers. Rin's colors shifted to what might have been pale blue. "The medical team has classified their planet of origin as a Class 12 death world. The highest classification we have on record." More whispers. More movement away from the two humans. Nina stepped forward, and the entire front row of council members jerked back. "Wait, what?" "Earth isn't that bad. I mean, yes, we have some challenges, but..." "Challenges?" A new alien spoke up, this one covered in soft fur and possessing 6 limbs. "Your world has megafauna that actively hunt your species. Your oceans contain predators that can bite through metal. Your atmosphere has enough oxygen to cause combustion from simple friction. Your planet's crust literally moves and destroys your settlements regularly." "Well, when you put it like that," Alex said carefully, "it sounds worse than it is." "Worse?" Rin's voice cracked. "The scan shows you carry approximately 37 trillion microscopic organisms in and on your bodies right now. Your immune systems are in constant warfare with bacteria and viruses that would exterminate most species in this chamber within hours." Nina touched her arm self-consciously. "Those are mostly helpful bacteria. They aid in digestion and..." "You weaponize biological warfare internally as a matter of survival," someone shrieked. "No, that's not..." Nina tried to explain, but the chamber erupted in panicked chatter. Alex held up his hands in what he hoped was a universal gesture of calm, but several species interpreted it as an attack posture. Security drones materialized from hidden panels in the walls, hovering between the humans and the council. "Perhaps," Rin said, struggling to maintain composure, "we should conduct this meeting remotely. For everyone's safety." "We're not dangerous," Alex insisted. "Look, I know we might seem different, but humans are peaceful. We're explorers, scientists, families. We have children and art and music. We just want to be part of the galactic community." A screen flickered to life showing Earth's history file, apparently compiled from the Horizon's Edge's computer systems. Images of wars, weapons, and destruction cycled through. Nuclear explosions, military conflicts, devastated landscapes. "This is peace?" the furry alien asked, pointing at the display. "That's our past," Nina said firmly. "Every species has a past. We've learned from our mistakes. We've grown. The colony ships represent our hope for a better future, for meeting others like you and learning from you. Learning our weaknesses, perhaps, another voice called out. Studying how to conquer us. That's not who we are, Alex said, frustration creeping into his voice. Rin's colors cycled through several shades before settling on something dark blue. The council will need time to deliberate. You will be escorted to secure quarters while we review all available data about your species. I apologize, but given the circumstances, you will need to remain in quarantine until we determine the appropriate classification for humanity. Quarantine? Nina's eyes widened. You're imprisoning us? Protective custody, Rin corrected gently. For our safety as much as yours. Please understand we have never encountered a species from a world as hostile as yours. We do not know if you are safe to be around. Your very presence triggers instinctive fear responses in 73% of council species. This is unprecedented. Alex wanted to argue, but he saw the genuine fear in Rin's crystalline structure, the way it kept flickering between colors. He saw how the other council members huddled together, how some had already fled the chamber entirely. How long? He asked quietly. As long as necessary, Rin replied. Days, perhaps weeks. The council must be certain before making any decisions about humanity's future in this galaxy. The security drones moved closer, forming a loose box around Alex and Nina. They were being politely but firmly removed from the council chamber. As they turned to leave, Nina looked back at the hundreds of alien faces, each one showing some variant of fear or suspicion. We just wanted to say hello, she whispered. The doors closed behind them with a soft hiss, and Alex and Nina found themselves in a corridor lined with more security drones. Somewhere in this massive station was a cell with their names on it, and all they had done was show up. 3 days passed before anyone came to see them. The quarantine facility was comfortable enough with separate sleeping areas and a common room stocked with food synthesizers programmed for human nutrition. The transparent walls showed a view of the station's interior garden, where dozens of alien species moved about their daily lives, carefully avoiding even looking at the human section. Nina sat cross-legged on the floor, sketching alien flowers in her notebook when the door chimed. She looked up to see Counselor Rin entering, accompanied by 6 security drones. May I come in? Rin asked, though it was already inside. Sure, Nina said, standing and brushing off her pants. Alex, we have company. Alex emerged from his sleeping quarters, hair still damp from the shower. Rin immediately changed to a pale yellow color and backed up slightly. Sorry, Alex said. Didn't mean to startle you. I was just cleaning up. Cleaning? Rin asked cautiously. Washing. With water and soap, Nina explained. Basic hygiene. Rin's colors flickered rapidly. You willingly expose yourselves to liquid submersion? For cleanliness? Don't your people bathe? Alex asked. We undergo sonic purification once per lunar cycle. Liquid water would dissolve our outer crystalline layer, Rin explained. The fact that you submerge in it regularly, sometimes in heated states, is noted in your file as another extreme survival adaptation. Nina and Alex exchanged glances. This was going to be harder than they thought. Why are you here, Counselor? Alex asked, gesturing to the seating area. Rin settled onto a cushion designed for non-humanoid bodies. The security drones positioned themselves at strategic points around the room. I have been assigned as your liaison. The Council requires more information about humanity before making any determinations. I volunteered because... Rin's colors shifted to something softer. Because I believe in fairness. Even if you terrify me. We're not trying to scare you, Nina said gently, sitting down across from the crystalline being. We're just people. People who survived conditions that would kill almost every other species in the known galaxy, Rin said. Your planet has atmospheric electrical discharges that contain more energy than our largest weapons. You call them lightning and consider them a mild weather inconvenience. Lightning can be dangerous, Alex said. People die from strikes sometimes. Sometimes. Rin's pitch went higher. Not always. You have regular exposure to energy weapons falling from the sky. And your species continues to thrive. We use lightning rods, Nina said. And we stay inside during storms. You have developed defensive technology against your own weather, Rin said, colors flickering through what might have been fascination. Tell me more about your homeworld. Help me understand how you survived. For the next hour, Nina and Alex took turns describing Earth. They talked about seasons, about rain and snow and sunshine. They described forests and deserts, mountains and oceans. With each description, Rin's colors shifted through increasingly agitated patterns. You swim in oceans? Rin asked. Oceans that contain creatures that weigh over 100 tons and can swallow smaller vessels whole? Whales don't eat people, Nina laughed. The sound of her laughter made Rin freeze completely, colors going stark white. What's wrong? Nina asked, worried. You displayed your teeth and made a loud vocalization. Is this aggressive behavior?
What? No.
I was laughing. It means I'm happy, amused, Nina explained. Your happiness expression is identical to the threat display of 17 council species, Rin said slowly. This is very concerning. Alex rubbed his face with both hands and Rin jerked backward. Sorry. Not a threat, just frustration. Everything we do seems to scare you. Because everything you describe should be impossible, Rin said. You mentioned earlier that humans engage in recreational activities. Please explain. Well, Nina said carefully. We hike in mountains, swim in lakes and oceans, run for exercise, play sports. Stop. Rin's colors went dark. You travel through hazardous terrain voluntarily. You submerge in uncontrolled water bodies containing predators. You engage in unnecessary physical exertion that depletes energy reserves. It's fun, Alex said. And it keeps us healthy. Fun. Rin repeated the word like it was foreign. You risk injury and death for entertainment. We don't usually die, Nina said. Well, sometimes there are accidents, but we take precautions. Rin was silent for a long moment. Tell me about your food. That seemed like a safer topic, so Nina smiled again, remembered that smiling was threatening and carefully controlled her expression. Humans are omnivores. We eat plants and animals. We cook most of our food using heat too. You apply thermal energy to organic matter before consumption? Rin interrupted. Why? It tastes better and kills harmful bacteria, Alex explained. You must sterilize your food because it is naturally dangerous, Rin said. What else do you eat? Lots of things, Nina said. Fruits, vegetables, grains, meat, fish. Some cultures eat insects. Oh, and we have spices like pepper and chili. Wait. Rin's colors flashed red. Did you say chili? As in capsaicin? The chemical compound used in defensive weapons? Yes, Nina said uncertainly. It makes food spicy. You consume poison for pleasure? Rin's voice rose several octaves. Capsaicin triggers pain receptors. It is literally designed by plants to prevent consumption. You eat it intentionally? It's not really poison to us, Alex said. I mean, it burns a little, but it burns? Rin stood up abruptly. You describe pain as a minor inconvenience. Humans have high pain tolerance, Nina said. We have to. Earth is dangerous, like you said. We evolved to keep functioning even when injured. Rin paced back and forth, colors cycling rapidly. Your species engages in persistence hunting, correct? I saw this in your biological data. Our ancestors did, Alex confirmed. We would track prey over long distances until it collapsed from exhaustion. You hunt by outlasting your prey's will to live, Rin said. You are endurance predators. Do you understand how terrifying that is? Most species in the Council evolved as prey animals. You evolved as the thing that hunts them. We don't hunt people, Nina said firmly. We're civilized. We have laws and morals and ethics. Yes, I have reviewed your moral frameworks, Rin said, settling back down. They are actually quite sophisticated. Your capacity for empathy is notable. You form attachments not just to your own species, but to others. You bond with animals that are not even sentient. You mean pets? Nina asked. You domesticate predators and keep them in your living spaces, Rin said. You call them companions. You feed them and care for them and treat them as family members. Dogs and cats are family, Alex said. They love us and we love them. You have weaponized pack bonding instincts to include beings from different species, Rin said slowly. This is your greatest strength and perhaps the only reason the Council has not voted to quarantine your entire species to your home system. What do you mean? Nina asked. Rin's colors shifted to something gentle, almost warm. Because if you can love creatures that serve no survival purpose, if you can care for beings weaker than yourselves, then perhaps you can be trusted with species like mine. Species that cannot fight back. We would never hurt you, Alex said quietly. I am beginning to believe that, Rin admitted. But you must understand, the Council has existed for 15,000 of your years. In all that time, we have never encountered a species quite like humanity. You are statistically improbable. By all rights, your species should have gone extinct millions of years ago. Instead, you conquered your planet and reached for the stars. Is that why we're in quarantine? Nina asked. Because we're survivors? Partially, Rin said. But also because yesterday something interesting happened. You were exposed to a common Council pathogen through the air filtration system. It was accidental, a cross-contamination from the station's main environment. This pathogen causes severe respiratory failure in 96% of Council species. It is usually fatal within 6 hours without treatment. Nina and Alex looked at each other, confused. We feel fine, Alex said. Exactly, Rin replied. Your immune systems neutralized it so efficiently that you never even developed symptoms. You are not just from a death world. You are Deathworlders. You carry within you the strength of a planet that tried desperately to kill your ancestors and failed. The room fell silent. Nina finally spoke. What happens now? Now, Rin said, colors shifting to determined purple. I convinced the Council that humanity deserves a chance. Because if we reject you out of fear, we become the very thing we claim to stand against. We become the ones who judge based on origin rather than character. Thank you, Nina said softly. Do not thank me yet, Rin replied. The Council meets tomorrow to vote on your status. The debate will be intense, but I will stand for you. The cultural demonstration chamber was smaller than the main Council hall, but no less impressive. Holographic displays lined the walls showing art and music from hundreds of different species. Alex and Nina stood on a raised platform while Council members observed from behind protective barriers. Safety first, apparently. A slug-like being approached the barrier, moving slowly on a trail of mucus. Its body was covered in sensory stalks that waved gently. I am Diplomat Voss of the Tethran Collective, it said through the translator. I am an empath. I feel the emotions of others. It is my role to verify sincerity and peaceful intent. That sounds like a useful gift, Nina said politely. It is also currently very uncomfortable, Voss admitted. Your emotional output is extremely intense. It is like standing next to a star. However, I sense no malice from either of you, which is why I advocated for this session. Rin approached from the side, colors set to calm blue. The Council has agreed to this demonstration as a compromise. You will show us aspects of human culture and daily life. We will observe and ask questions. This will help us understand if humanity can coexist peacefully with other species. We can do that, Alex said. What would you like to know first? Basic greetings, suggested an alien that looked like a collection of floating spheres held together by energy fields. How do humans typically meet one another? Well, Nina said, stepping forward, in many cultures we shake hands. She extended her hand toward Rin. Rin looked at the offered hand with what might have been horror. You wish to make physical contact? Upon first meeting? It's a sign of respect and trust, Alex explained. Here, I'll demonstrate. He moved toward the barrier, but Voss backed away quickly. Perhaps we should start with something less invasive, Voss said nervously. Describe this handshaking ritual without performing it. Nina pulled her hand back. Two people grasp each other's right hand and move them up and down a few times. It shows you're not holding a weapon, and that you're willing to enter personal space peacefully. You verify lack of weapons by proving you could easily harm the other person, a bird-like creature asked from the upper observation deck. This is your peaceful greeting? It's symbolic, Alex said. We don't actually think about the weapon thing anymore. It's just polite. Noted, Rin said, making marks on a datapad. What about sustenance sharing? Many species use communal feeding to bond. Oh, humans do that too, Nina said enthusiastically. We eat together all the time. Family dinners, business lunches, dates. Food is a big part of human social life. Show us, Voss said. We have prepared some human-safe consumables. A drone brought forward a tray with various foods, fruits, bread, some kind of protein bar, and a cup of water. Nina picked up an apple and bit into it with a satisfying crunch. 12 species representatives immediately left the chamber. What happened? Nina asked, mouth still full. You just destroyed living matter with your calcified bone protrusions, Rin explained, colors flashing alarmed yellow, in front of several herbivorous species who found it deeply traumatic. Nina swallowed quickly. Sorry, I didn't think. It's just an apple. The apple was alive until moments ago, the bird-like alien said. You killed it with your mouth bones. Teeth, Alex corrected. They're called teeth. And yes, we use them to eat. That's what they're for. Humans are equipped with built-in weapons in their facial structure, Rin noted on the datapad, used casually during feeding. They're not weapons, Nina protested. Can you bite through organic material? Voss asked. Well, yes, but can you cause injury with them? I mean, technically on the weapons, Voss concluded. Fascinating. You are so thoroughly armed that you do not even recognize your own weaponry. Alex decided to change the subject. What about human achievements? Art and science and exploration? Those show our peaceful side. Yes, Rin agreed quickly. Please tell us about human recreational activities. This was mentioned in your file but not fully explained. Nina brightened. Okay, well, I personally love hiking. You walk through natural areas, mountains or forests, and enjoy the scenery. It's very relaxing. You traverse hazardous terrain with unstable footing and potential predator encounters for relaxation. Rin asked. When you say it like that, I enjoy swimming, Alex offered. There's nothing like a cool lake on a hot day. The floating spheres pulsed red. You submerge your respiratory system in liquid and trust your body's ability to hold oxygen reserves while navigating an environment that is actively hostile to your survival. We hold our breath, Alex said. It's really not that dramatic. Holding breath implies you have conscious control over autonomic functions, Voss observed. You can choose to stop breathing? For a few minutes, yeah, Nina said. You can override your survival instincts through will alone, Rin stated. Adding to file. What about sports? The bird creature asked. Your files mention something called rugby? Oh boy, Alex muttered. Nina explained. It's a team game where you try to carry a ball to the opposing team's goal while the other team tries to stop you. How do they stop you? Voss asked. They tackle you. Basically, they grab you and pull you to the ground. The silence that followed was deafening. You assault each other, the bird creature said slowly. For entertainment. It's not assault, Nina said. There are rules. Everyone agrees to play. It's fun. You find violence enjoyable, Rin said, colors going dark red. It's not violence, Alex insisted. It's competition. It's about teamwork and strategy and physical challenge. Nobody gets seriously hurt. Nobody dies? Voss asked. Well, not usually, Nina said. I mean, there are safety measures. Not usually, Rin repeated. Meaning sometimes people do die and yet the activity continues. Look, Alex said, getting frustrated. Every species must have some physical activities. Things you do for fun or exercise. The Tethran enjoy synchronized floating, Voss said. We arrange ourselves in patterns while suspended in our atmospheric tanks. The Quellan appreciate crystalline resonance, Rin added. We vibrate at harmonious frequencies, neither of which involves injury risk, the bird creature said. We create nest art from gathered materials. These are all very nice, Nina said diplomatically, but don't any of you do anything even slightly dangerous? No, came the unified response. Why would we? Voss asked, genuinely confused. Danger is to be avoided. It threatens survival. But overcoming challenges makes you stronger, Alex argued. It builds character. It brings people together. Or it kills you, Rin countered. Your species has a fundamentally different relationship with risk than any council member. You seek out danger. You test yourselves against it. You celebrate those who survive extreme circumstances. Because we come from a world that demanded we be strong, Nina said quietly. If we didn't push ourselves, if we didn't adapt and overcome, we would have gone extinct. Seeking challenges isn't recklessness. It's how we survived. Voss moved closer to the barrier, sensory stalks waving. I feel truth in those words. You are not violent beings. You are beings shaped by violence. There is a difference. Is there? The bird creature asked. Can we trust them not to bring their Deathworld mentality into our peaceful society? I don't know, Voss admitted. But I feel something else from them. Something important. The empath focused on Nina and Alex. You protect others. Fiercely. I feel it in every emotional pulse. You would fight to defend the weak. Of course, Alex said. Wouldn't anyone?
No, Rin said softly.
Most council species avoid conflict at all costs. We retreat, we hide, we negotiate. We do not fight. But what if someone can't run? Nina asked. What if they need help? We call for peacekeepers, the bird creature said. We have systems. And while you wait for systems, people suffer, Alex said. Better than risking ourselves, the bird creature replied. Nina shook her head. We'll have to agree to disagree on that. The session continued for another hour. The council members asked about human families, and were shocked that humans kept their offspring nearby instead of sending them to communal raising facilities. They asked about human dwellings and were amazed that humans lived in structures that stayed in one place, despite earthquakes and storms. They asked about human relationships and were confused by the concept of choosing one's own mate, rather than algorithmic matching. As the session ended, Rin approached the barrier one last time. I have a question that has been troubling me. Your species has a saying, yes? Actions speak louder than words? Yes, Nina confirmed. Then perhaps it is time we see human actions rather than just hear human words, Rin said. The council votes tomorrow on your status. I suggest you both rest. Tomorrow will determine humanity's future in the stars. As they were escorted back to quarantine, Alex leaned close to Nina. Did that help or hurt our case? Honestly? Nina whispered back. I have no idea. The council chamber buzzed with activity as representatives from hundreds of worlds debated humanity's fate. Alex and Nina sat in a designated area behind yet another transparent barrier, watching their future being decided by beings who still flinched when they moved too quickly. Security Director Hom took the central platform. The being was unlike anything Alex had seen so far, covered in thick armored plates that looked more like rock than flesh. Hom came from one of the few fortress worlds in council space, a place where life had evolved to be tough rather than clever. I will be direct, Hom announced, voice resonating through the chamber. I have reviewed all data on humanity. I have studied their history, their biology, their psychology. My conclusion is simple. We cannot allow humanity into council space. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the assembly. Nina tensed beside Alex, but he placed a gentle hand on her arm. They had been warned this would happen, Hom continued. Humans have waged over 14,000 documented wars in their recorded history. They have developed weapons capable of destroying their entire planet multiple times over. They have hunted species to extinction, both on purpose and by accident. They spread across their world like a virus, consuming resources and reshaping environments to suit their needs. The display screen showed images from human history, battles, weapons, destruction. Alex wanted to look away but forced himself to watch. This was humanity's shame, laid bare for everyone to see. They are apex predators with tool-using intelligence, Hom said. The most dangerous combination in known biology. Their own planet tried to kill them for millions of years and failed. What chance do we have if they decide we are a threat or worse, a resource? May I respond? Alex stood, his movement causing several nearby representatives to jump. Hom gestured affirmatively. Speak, human. Alex stepped forward to the barrier. Everything you said is true. Humans have done terrible things. We've fought wars and built weapons and hurt our own planet. But that's not the whole story. Then tell us the rest, Hom challenged. Alex looked at Nina, who nodded encouragement. He turned back to face the council. Yes, we've had wars. And after every war, we've built monuments to remember the dead and sworn never again. We fail at that promise sometimes, but we keep trying. We created the United Nations, an organization dedicated to preventing conflict through dialogue. We established human rights, rules that apply to everyone regardless of who they are. We built hospitals and schools and libraries. You also built nuclear weapons, the bird-like creature pointed out. We did, Alex admitted, and after we saw what they could do, the majority of humanity worked to reduce their numbers. We created treaties, non-proliferation agreements, inspection protocols. Are we perfect? No, but we're trying to be better than we were. Trying is not succeeding, Hom said. Your species is too dangerous. The risk is too great. Voss moved forward from the crowd. May I speak? Proceed, Diplomat Voss, Rin said from the moderator position. The empathic being approached the platform. I have spent time with these humans. I have felt their emotions directly. Director Hom is correct about humanity's capacity for violence, but there is something else, something the data files do not capture. Voss turned to address the full assembly. Humans feel guilt. Deep, profound guilt for their mistakes. They carry the weight of their ancestors' failures and try desperately to do better. This is rare among intelligent species. Guilt is not a defense, Halm countered. It does not prevent future violence. No, Voss agreed. But it shows capacity for growth. It shows they can learn. Nina stood now, moving beside Alex. Can I tell you a story? A human story? Rin gestured approval. In our history, Nina began, there was a time when humans kept other humans as property. Slavery. It was evil and cruel, and went on for centuries. But eventually humans decided it was wrong. They fought a war to end it in some places. They passed laws. They changed their societies. Today, every human government on Earth has declared slavery illegal. We looked at something we had done for thousands of years and said no more. We changed. You took thousands of years to decide that enslaving your own kind was wrong, the bird creature said. This is not encouraging. But we did decide it was wrong, Nina pressed. And once we did, we committed to that decision. We're not perfect, but we move toward justice even when it's hard. Even when it costs us, pretty words, Holmes said. But I deal in threats and capabilities, not intentions. Let me present more facts. New data appeared on the screens. Humans have an average lifespan of less than 100 years. This makes them short-term thinkers. They reproduce rapidly, with population doubling times of less than 50 years at peak growth. They adapt quickly to new environments, showing remarkable flexibility. They have already developed faster than light travel despite being a young species. All of this points to expansion, colonization, conquest, or exploration, Alex said. Meeting new friends, learning from others. You see friends, Holmes said. I see potential enemies or worse, victims. Because that is what my job requires. I protect the Council from threats. We're not a threat, Nina said, but her voice lacked conviction. How could they prove it? Rin's colors shifted through several shades before settling on something like purple. Perhaps the question is not whether humans are dangerous, but whether they can choose not to be dangerous. Director Halm, your world is also classified as a fortress world, though not as extreme as Earth. Your species evolved armor and strength. You could easily overpower most council members. Why should we trust you but not humans? Halm's armored plates shifted slightly. Because my people learned restraint over millions of years. Because we joined the council 15,000 years ago and have proven our commitment to peace. Because we have a track record. So you had time and we don't, Alex said. That's the difference? Yes, Halm said simply. You are too young, too unpredictable, too dangerous to gamble on. Then give us a chance to prove ourselves, Nina pleaded. A probationary period, restrictions, whatever you need. Just don't condemn us without letting us try. The chamber erupted in debate. Some supported the idea of probation. Others demanded immediate rejection. The noise grew louder and louder until Rin had to activate a harmonizing tone to restore order. The council will vote, Rin announced. But first, does anyone else wish to speak? A small being near the back raised a manipulator appendage. I would like to share something. The creature floated forward, seemingly carried by some kind of gravity manipulation. I am a researcher. I study extinct species. The galaxy has seen thousands of intelligent species come and go. Do you know what they all had in common? Silence. They were safe, the researcher continued. They evolved on peaceful worlds. They developed in harmony with their environments. They were gentle and cautious and risk-averse. And when they encountered something dangerous, something that could actually threaten them, they had no framework for dealing with it. They died out. Not because they were weak, but because they had never needed to be strong. The researcher gestured toward Alex and Nina. Humans are strong because they had to be. They are survivors of a world that most of us would consider hell. But they did not just survive. They thrived. They created art and music and philosophy while fighting for every day of life. They built civilizations on a planet actively trying to kill them. That is not weakness. That is the opposite of weakness. It is also not a recommendation for peaceful coexistence, Halm argued. No, the researcher agreed. But it is a reason for hope. Because if humans can survive their own world and still choose peace, still reach out with open hands instead of closed fists, then perhaps they are exactly what the Council needs. Needs? Halm's plates rattled. Explain. The galaxy is not safe, the researcher said quietly. There are threats the Council prefers to ignore. Rogue AI, expansionist species beyond our borders, natural disasters. We have survived by avoiding, by hiding, by hoping danger passes us by. But someday something will come that cannot be avoided. When that day arrives, would you rather have humans as friends or as strangers? The chamber fell silent as the weight of those words settled over the assembly. Holmes stared at the researcher, then at the humans, then back to the researcher. You are suggesting we ally with them out of fear? I am suggesting we ally with them out of wisdom, the researcher replied. Better to have the Deathworlders with us than against us. The vote, Rin said. All in favor of granting humanity provisional council membership with restrictions and monitoring? Lights began appearing across the chamber, each representing a species vote. Green for yes, red for no. The display slowly filled with color as the seconds ticked by. Alex grabbed Nina's hand and squeezed. She squeezed back, neither of them breathing as they watched their future being decided by strangers who barely understood them. The vote was still being tallied when the alarm started. A harsh wailing sound filled the council chamber, red lights flashing in patterns that hurt human eyes. Alex instinctively moved in front of Nina as security drones swarmed into defensive positions. Around them, council members panicked, floating, scuttling, or slithering toward emergency exits. Rin's crystalline body flashed through colors so rapidly it became almost white. Emergency broadcast. All channels. What is happening? A projection appeared above the central platform showing Sanctuary 7's exterior monitoring system. A massive asteroid tumbled through space directly toward the station. Data scrolled across the screen. Impact in 47 minutes. Estimated size, 3 kilometers diameter. Composition, dense metallic core with ice and rock outer layers. Defense systems should have detected this days ago, Holmes said, already moving toward tactical stations. Why were we not warned? Systems are not responding, a technician called out. Something has locked us out. It looks like a virus in the detection network. Sabotage? Boss's voice was tight with fear. Activate secondary protocols, Holmes ordered. Deploy the defense platforms. Destroy the asteroid before impact. More alarms, more flashing lights. Defense platforms are offline, another technician reported. The virus has spread through all automated systems. We cannot fire weapons. The chamber descended into chaos. Species were screaming in their various languages. The translator system struggled to keep up with the overlapping voices. Some council members were already fleeing the chamber entirely. Evacuate, Rin announced, trying to maintain order. All personnel to escape vessels. We have 45 minutes. How many vessels? Alex asked loudly, cutting through the noise. Enough for half the station population, Holmes said grimly. Maybe 60% if we overload life support. That leaves thousands to die, Nina said. I am aware, Holmes snapped. If you have a better solution, now would be the time. Alex's mind raced. He grabbed Nina's arm. The mining ship, in the docking bay. You saw it on our tour. The decommissioned one? Nina's eyes widened. Alex, that thing is ancient. It has explosives on board for breaking up asteroids, and maneuvering thrusters, everything we need. It also has no working navigation system and probably no air seal. So we'll hold our breath, Alex said with a grim smile. Come on. Deathworlder time. They ran toward the barrier, but Holm blocked their path. Where are you going? To save your station, Alex said. That mining ship in Bay 12. We can use it to redirect the asteroid. You? Holm's armored plates rattled in what might have been disbelief. 2 individuals with no training on our systems? We're humans, Nina said. Jury-rigging broken technology is practically our species' specialty. Holmes stared at them for a long moment. Around them, the evacuation continued in barely controlled panic. Finally, the security director stepped aside. Bay 12, take whatever you need. If you can actually do this, I will personally sponsor Humanity's Council membership. Hold us to that, Alex said, already running. They sprinted through corridors filled with fleeing aliens, most scattered out of their way, still afraid of the Deathworlders even in crisis. They reached Bay 12 in 6 minutes, their human endurance letting them maintain a pace that would have exhausted most council species. The mining ship looked worse up close. Hull patches showed dozens of repairs. One of the maneuvering thrusters was clearly broken. The cockpit window had a crack running through it. This is insane, Nina said. but she was already climbing aboard. Completely, Alex agreed, following her. The interior smelled like old metal and stale air. Control panels showed text in 3 different alien languages. Alex found what looked like a manual control stick. Nina started pressing buttons until displays flickered to life. "Can you fly this thing?" Nina asked. "I flew helicopters once, how different can it be?" "That was a 2-day tourist experience in Thailand." "Still counts." Alex grabbed the controls. "Find the explosives. We need to know what we're working with." Nina moved to the rear compartment while Alex struggled with the ship's interface. The translator in his ear tried to interpret the controls, but kept giving contradictory information. He defaulted to human intuition, looking for anything that resembled thrust controls. "Found them," Nina called out. "We have 4 charges rated for small asteroid mining. They're magnetic and have remote detonators." "4 is enough," Alex said. "We don't need to destroy it, just change its trajectory enough to miss the station." The ship shuddered as Alex managed to activate the power systems. Lights came on, most of them red and angry. Warning messages scrolled across screens he couldn't read. Alex? The hull integrity system is showing red." "Of course it is. Ignore it. We don't have time to fix everything. But if there's a hull breach, then we hold our breath like we told Rin. Now get up here. I need you to handle navigation while I fly." Nina strapped into the co-pilot seat as Alex initiated launch procedures. The bay doors opened slowly, revealing the star field beyond. And there, growing larger by the minute, was the asteroid. 38 minutes to impact, Nina read from a functioning display. "Alex, we need a plan." "Working on it." He pushed the throttle forward, and the mining ship lurched out of the bay with all the grace of a drunk elephant. "Okay, here's what we do. We fly alongside the asteroid, plant the explosives at strategic points on one side, then detonate them all at once. The force should push it off course." "Should?" "Mathematics is on our side. Probably. I hate that word." They flew toward the asteroid, fighting with controls that were never meant for precision maneuvering. The mining ship groaned and protested with every adjustment. Twice, warning klaxons went off for reasons neither of them understood. "This is what we evolved for," Alex muttered, wrestling with the controls. "Impossible problems and broken tools. We've got this." Nina started calculating trajectories using her datapad, cross-referencing with the ship's scanners. "We need to place charges here, 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 and here," she said, highlighting points on the asteroid's surface. "Maximum force with minimum resources." "Right, small problem. We need to physically place them. This ship doesn't have a cargo arm." They looked at each other. "Spacewalk," they said together. "There are suits in the back," Nina said, already unbuckling. "I saw them when I checked the explosives." "Of course there are. Why would this be easy?" They suited up in alien environmental gear that fit poorly on human frames. The helmets were too large. The gloves were the wrong shape. The air tanks were designed for different respiratory systems and might not give them enough oxygen. "Just another day for Deathworlders," Nina said, her voice crackling through the suit's comm system. Alex brought the ship as close to the asteroid as he dared, matching its tumbling rotation. Nina opened the airlock and stepped out into space, magnetic boots keeping her attached to the ship's hull. She carried 2 of the explosive charges. "How's it looking?" Alex asked, watching her through the cracked cockpit window. "Terrifying," Nina replied honestly, "but manageable, bringing the first charge to position 1. She pushed off from the ship using small maneuvering jets in the suit to float across the gap to the asteroid. The surface was rough and irregular, made of rock and ice fused together over billions of years. Nina planted the first charge and activated its magnetic clamps. "1 down," she reported. 3 to go. Alex suited up and joined her for the second charge. Together, they worked their way around the asteroid's surface, placing explosives while the clock ticked down. 20 minutes. 15. 10. "Last charge placed," Nina said, breathing hard. The alien suit's oxygen mixture was giving her a headache, but she pushed through it. "Detonators are active." They pushed back to the ship, moving as fast as the suits allowed. Alex sealed the airlock and rushed to the controls while Nina pulled up the detonation interface. 5 minutes to impact, Alex said. Ready? Ready, Nina confirmed, her finger hovering over the trigger. Detonate on my mark. 3, 2, 1. Mark. Nina pressed the button. The explosions bloomed silently in space, 4 white flashes against the dark rock. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then slowly, the asteroid's trajectory began to shift. Numbers scrolled across Nina's display as the rock's path bent away from Sanctuary 7. It's working, she breathed. Alex, it's actually working. Don't celebrate yet, Alex said, fighting with the controls. We're caught in the debris field. Chunks of rock and ice spun away from the blast site, and several pieces were heading straight for their fragile mining ship. Alex pushed the thrusters hard, trying to dodge the incoming fragments. The ship responded sluggishly, its old systems struggling with the demands. A piece of rock the size of a transport vehicle slammed into their port side. The impact threw them both against their restraints. Alarms shrieked. The cockpit window crack spread wider, spiderwebbing across their view. Hull breach in the cargo section. Nina shouted over the noise. Life support is failing. How long do we have? Maybe 3 minutes of air. Maybe less. Alex changed course, pointing the ship back toward Sanctuary 7. The station was still too far away. Even at maximum speed, they would need at least 5 minutes to reach the docking bay. 5 minutes when they only had 3 minutes of breathable air. Nina, Alex said quietly. Remember what we told Rin? About holding our breath? That was a joke, Alex, was it though? He looked at her with a grim smile. We're Deathworlders. Let's act like it. Nina stared at him, then started laughing. The sound was slightly hysterical. Fine, let's hold our breath in space because why not? This day can't get any weirder. They took several deep breaths, hyperventilating to saturate their blood with oxygen. It was a technique free divers used, and both of them had learned it during Earth's mandatory water safety training. The irony of using ocean survival techniques in space was not lost on Nina. On 3, Alex said. 1, 2, 3. They both took final deep breaths and sealed their suit helmets. The remaining air in the cabin vented into space through the hull breach, taking all sound with it. The alarms continued flashing but made no noise in the vacuum. Alex kept his eyes on the controls, flying purely on visual cues now that the atmospheric sensors had failed. His lungs already burned. His body screamed for oxygen that wasn't coming. He pushed through it, focusing on the station growing larger in their cracked window. Nina monitored their trajectory, making adjustments through hand signals since the comm system was dead. Her vision started to tunnel, darkness creeping in from the edges. She had held her breath for nearly 3 minutes once during a diving certification. That had been in water, though. Safe, controlled. This was different, but she was a Deathworlder, and Deathworlders did not give up. The station's docking bay loomed ahead. Alex aimed for the emergency entrance, the one designed for damaged ships. His hands moved on instinct, his conscious mind starting to fade as oxygen deprivation took hold. They hit the bay entrance too fast, scraping along the safety walls. Sparks flew silently in the vacuum. The ship bounced, spun, and finally crashed into the emergency landing zone with enough force to deploy the ancient safety restraints. Emergency systems detected the crashed vessel and initiated bay pressurization. Air flooded back into the space. Alex and Nina both gasped, their suit helmets automatically opening to the breathable atmosphere. They gulped air like drowning people, which they basically were. Never, Nina panted. Never again. Agreed, Alex managed between breaths. The bay doors opened, and medical teams rushed in along with Rin, Voss, and Director Halm. The aliens stared at the destroyed mining ship, at the 2 humans climbing out on shaky legs, at the debris field visible through the bay windows where the asteroid had been. You did it, Rin said, colors flickering through every shade imaginable. You actually did it. Is the station safe? Alex asked. The asteroid will miss us by over 2,000 kilometers, Halm said. You changed its course by exactly enough. No more, no less. The precision is remarkable. Lucky guess, Nina said, leaning against the ship's hull for support. Her legs did not want to hold her up. There is no luck in what you did, Voss said, moving closer despite obvious fear. You risked your lives for beings who have treated you with suspicion and fear. Why? Alex and Nina looked at each other. Alex shrugged. Because you needed help. Isn't that reason enough? The empath's sensory stalks waved frantically. I feel the truth in those words. You truly believe that? Helping others is reason enough, even when there is no benefit to yourselves. That's what people do, Nina said. At least it's what people should do. Hom's armored plates shifted, creating a sound like grinding rocks. I was wrong about humanity. I judged you based on capability rather than character. I apologize. You were protecting your people, Alex said. We understand that. Nevertheless, I misjudged you severely. Hom turned to address the growing crowd of council members gathering in the bay. I hereby formally recommend that humanity be granted full provisional membership in the Galactic Council. These two individuals have proven that humans, while dangerous, choose to use their abilities to protect rather than harm. That distinction is critical. Seconded, Rin said immediately. And I would like to formally request assignment as permanent cultural liaison to humanity. Thirded, Voss added. I propose we create a new council initiative, the Deathworlder Integration Program. There must be other species like humanity out there. Species from harsh worlds that we have overlooked or feared. Perhaps it is time we learned from them instead of hiding from them. A small voice spoke from the crowd. It was the researcher who had spoken during the vote. I would like to lead that initiative if the council approves. I've spent my life studying extinct species. I would prefer to spend my remaining years ensuring no more species go extinct due to our fear. The council members present began a discussion that quickly grew animated. Arguments for and against flew back and forth, but Alex noticed that the tone had changed. They were no longer debating whether humans were dangerous. They were debating how to best integrate a dangerous species into a peaceful society. The question had shifted from if to how. A medical team finally convinced Alex and Nina to sit down for examination. The alien doctors were fascinated and horrified in equal measure by the human's physical state. Oxygen deprivation that should have caused permanent brain damage had left them merely tired. The impact forces that should have broken bones had resulted in minor bruising. Their heart rates and blood pressure, which would be critical emergency levels for most species, were returning to normal human ranges. You held your breath in vacuum for over 4 minutes, one doctor said. All 3 of its eye stalks focused on Nina. This should be impossible. Free diving training, Nina explained. Some humans can hold their breath for over 10 minutes. 10 minutes, the doctor repeated faintly. I can manage 45 seconds before brain damage occurs. Different species, different abilities, Nina said diplomatically. Rin approached them once the medical team finished. The council vote is being reconvened. After what you did today, I believe the result will be different from what it would have been this morning. We didn't do it for votes, Alex said. I know, Rin replied. That is precisely why the votes will change. Come, the council wishes to address you both formally. They were escorted back to the council chamber, which was now filled to capacity. Every species representative was present, even those who had fled earlier. The asteroid crisis had brought everyone together. Rin took the central platform. The vote will now proceed. All in favor of granting humanity provisional membership status with full diplomatic rights and responsibilities. The display filled with green lights. Not all of them, but enough. Far more than enough. Motion passes by a margin of 78%, Rin announced. Humanity is hereby welcomed into the Galactic Council as provisional members. Formal ratification will occur once appropriate documentation is prepared and restrictions are negotiated. But as of this moment, humans are no longer strangers. You are partners. The chamber erupted in sound. Some species cheered in their various ways. Others remained silent but respectful. A few still showed signs of fear, but even they could not deny what had been proven today. Alex and Nina stood together holding hands, letting the moment wash over them. They had left Earth as explorers, hoping to find friends among the stars. They had found fear and suspicion instead. But through it all, they had remained true to humanity's best qualities: courage, determination, and the deep-seated belief that protecting others was worth any personal risk. Hom approached them one last time. The council will assign liaisons to your colony ship. We will provide navigation assistance, resource-sharing agreements, and cultural exchange programs. You will be monitored, of course. Probationary status requires oversight. We understand, Alex said, and we'll prove worthy of your trust. You already have, Hom said. Today you proved it beyond any doubt, But the question remains, will the rest of humanity be like you? That is what the Council must discover. They will be, Nina said confidently, because we're all just people trying to do our best. Some of us mess up, some of us do terrible things, but most of us, when it really matters, we choose to help rather than hurt. That's what makes us human. Voss moved closer, sensory stalks waving gently. I feel truth in your words. And hope, so much hope. You believe in your species? Of course we do, Alex said. They're our family, all 8 billion of them. 8 billion Deathworlders, Rin said, colors shifting to something that might have been amusement. The galaxy will never be the same. Is that a bad thing? Nina asked. No, Rin decided after a moment. I think it might be exactly what we need. The ceremony continued, but Alex and Nina stepped back to observe rather than participate in the formalities. Through the chamber's transparent walls, they could see space beyond. Somewhere out there, the horizon's edge waited with thousands of humans eager to meet their galactic neighbors. Think they're ready for us? Nina asked quietly. No, Alex said with a smile. But they'll learn. Just like we learned. Just like everyone learns when cultures meet. We're going to mess this up sometimes, aren't we? Absolutely. We'll make mistakes and misunderstand things and accidentally terrify people just by being ourselves. But we'll keep trying. We'll keep reaching out. That's what humans do. Nina squeezed his hand. 2 Deathworlders walked into the council and panic ensued. Yeah, Alex agreed. But we also saved them. That's the story they'll remember. Not the fear, but the choice we made when it mattered most. In the distance, through the vast windows of Sanctuary 7, the first human transport ships began arriving, escorted by council vessels flying in peaceful formation. A new era was beginning, one where Deathworlders and peaceful species would learn to understand each other. It would not be easy. But then again, nothing worthwhile ever was, and humans, more than any species in the galaxy, understood the value of fighting for something difficult but meaningful. The future stretched ahead, full of possibilities and challenges, wonder and fear, friendship and misunderstanding. But for the first time in their journey, humanity would face it not as strangers in a hostile universe, but as members of a galactic community. And that made all the difference.